Hi, and welcome back to What the Fish with me, Bobby. You need a pleco to clean your tank. At least that's what new fish keepers are told all the time. Get a pleco. It's a fish that eats algae. It cleans it right off your glass. I mean, who wouldn't be excited to hear that? I mean, if you can have a cleanup crew in your tank, as I've often heard them called, why should you do all the work yourself? That's like saying, sure, get a cat. Then we'll have the dog clean out the litter box and take the droppings out to the backyard. That's not how things work. If you've kept fish in a glass box for any length of time, then you know there's absolutely no way that they're going to keep the tank clean for you. You know how when you grab the vacuum and the cleaning supplies and you head into your kid's room to clean it, and when you get there you find out that it's spotlessly clean because they already did it for you?
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Exactly. Anyway, here you are looking for plecos. You find a cool one at the store, bring him home, throw some algae wafers at it, and it's miserable. What have you done wrong? Well, maybe nothing. You see, sometimes a pleco isn't a pleco, at least not in the sense that we've come to know the pleco as. In the hobby today, there are two main groups of plecos that we see sold as plecos, Ancistrus and Hypancistrus. And although we call both of them plecos and they look pretty similar, they couldn't be more different. So let's take a moment and figure out what the fish is the difference between an Ancistrus and a Hypancistrus anyway. Before we get started, let's figure out exactly what is a pleco in the first place. Pleco is the generic term, and it's used to describe any one of the more than 800 different kinds of suckermouth catfish in the Loricariidae family coming out of the Amazon River. Now, if you're not into scientific names and classifications, don't worry about it. Loricariids are basically just a giant group of catfish, of which Ancistrus and Hypancistrus are two distinct subgroups. Plecos are usually characterized by a sucker-type disc for a mouth, spiny fins, and armored plates along the sides of their bodies. They're called plecos because in the beginning of the modern fish keeping hobby in the 1920s, there weren't a ton of tropical fish available or even discovered and imported for sale. The most common suckermouth pleco was, of course, the common plecostomus, good old Hypostomus plecostomus, which has really got to be one of the most fun names to say. Go ahead, say it. It's just us, no one will hear you. See? Is that a fish or a Harry Potter spell? I don't know. Anyway, pleco fits on the sign, so that's the name it got, and that's the one that stuck. So these guys were basically the only stars in the sky until the 60s, so they were the cleaner fish. They were hardy and able to take the abuse that early 20th century fish shipping thrust on them, so they quickly dominated the pet store scene, and they were everywhere. Marketed as algae eaters, everyone knew what a pleco was. For decades, get a pleco, they eat algae, was what you heard. The kicker is, the common plecos really aren't even that good at it. Sure, they'll eat some, but they'd rather have shrimp pellets or a dead fish or anything really ahead of boring old algae. Then, fish keeping in the 60s saw a huge expansion of new species. There was better exploration of the Amazon, faster shipping, and distribution networks that were able to bring amazing fish into the hobby. Many of these, of course, were new species of suckermouth catfish. And they were all labeled plecos. They were just different kinds of plecos. There was no need to learn much about them because everybody already knew what a pleco was, what it ate, and how it acts. They're tank cleaners. All guppies are the same, all goldfish are the same, so why not with plecos? And that brings us back around to today's topic, Ancistrus versus Hypancistrus. These fish are definitely not Hypostomus plecostomus, but at first look they get tagged with everything that goes with a common pleco. So let's start with Ancistrus and see what these guys are really all about. Now, the flag bearer for Ancistrus is the bushy nose or bristle nose pleco. There's that word pleco again. Like algae, it's not going away. But let's not make the same mistake they made in the 20s. No, not that one. The mistake that all Ancistrus are bushy nose. They're not. They're just the most common one. There are other types of Ancistrus besides bushy nose plecos. These guys are a selectively bred variety. meaning not found in nature, called super reds. Bristlenose come in a ton of colors: red, wild type, which are a mottled brown like their plecostomus cousins, yellow, albinos, and so on. There are other species, like the Rio Atenes L519s in this tank here. All being Ancistrus, they share the same requirements and stay relatively small, with most species topping out between 3 and 6 inches, so they aren't tank busters. Let's start with what they eat. First off, these guys prefer plant matter. I won't say they're 100% vegetarian, because they will eat meaty foods if they have no choice and there's nothing else available, but they are definitely not going to thrive on a diet like that. These guys are looking for algae. They will absolutely destroy algae in your tank and do it very, very quickly. They're one of the best algae eaters out there and are way better at it than our friend Old Man Hypostomus could ever hope to be. The thing is, once all the algae is gone, they need to eat something or they are going to starve. And so that's where we have to start supplementing their diet with other types of foods. Some of the best foods for Ancistrus are fresh vegetables. They love anything that they can get a hold of with their raspy mouths and scrape off. So some of the best choices are things like zucchinis, squash, melons, watermelon even works once in a while. Anything that has sort of that meaty consistency to it that they can scrape. The thing is, when you feed these type of foods, you want to make sure that you slice them in half so that the Ancistrus can easily get to the meaty parts in the middle. Adults don't seem to have much of a problem getting through the skin, but if you have any babies or smaller Ancistrus in your tank, that might be difficult for them, so slice it up. The only bad thing about most of these types of vegetables is that they do float, and so you need to weigh them down somehow, either by sticking a fork in them and sinking them to the bottom that way, maybe some old plant weights, anything that'll hold them down. Once they're on the bottom, these fish immediately sense them and they'll be all over it. Usually in the morning, if you put them in at night, you will find that just about all of the zucchini is gone and all that's left is sort of a little circular rinds, almost like they ate a piece of watermelon. Some of the other foods that you can try are eggplant. I've tried sweet potato on occasion. They don't seem to go for it too much unless they're really large Ancistrus. It's very dense and almost kind of a woody texture. I do feed this to Elizabeth, my royal pleco, but she's a panac and she has bigger teeth, and we'll do a video on that in the future. Other veggies that you can feed them are things like green beans. They go crazy for these. These are like Pleco cookies, if you ask me. The thing is, with green beans, you want to make sure that you get the ones that are called French cut, which means that they're sliced down the middle. The reason for that is some fish have a hard time getting through the skin of the green bean, and if they're French cut, they can get right to that meaty inside. The thing about green beans is the fish do love them, and they sink, which makes them easy to feed. The problem is they make an awful mess. So if you're going to feed green beans, once the fish are done, whatever's left, you need to vacuum out pretty quickly or it is going to mess up the water. You'll get real cloudy water really fast with a bunch of half-eaten green beans laying around the tank. In a pinch, you can use things like algae tablets or algae wafers. The fish also like these, but you got to make sure that you get the ones that are higher in vegetable matter rather than protein. So things that are high in spirulina, things that are high in kelp, any kind of seaweeds, those are really, really great foods. One of my favorite prepared foods though is Repashy. Repashy makes a full line of reptile and fish foods, and they're kind of tailored almost to the types of fish that you're feeding. You're not going to find all-purpose food for the most part. The kind of Repashy that I like for my fish, for my Ancistrus anyway, is called Super Green. Super Green is actually a vegan formulation, which means it doesn't have any krill, any fish meat, anything like that in it at all. It starts out as a powder, and you basically take the powder and mix it with boiling water. You let it set for about an hour or so, and you end up with this kind of a gel type material, which is kind of spongy, and the fish seem to love attaching themselves to it and scraping the food right off of the cubes. The cubes do sink, which makes them easy to feed. And while it's wet, before it gets into this gel-like substance, if you want to, you can even take a brush and paint it on pieces of driftwood or pieces of rock, and it'll dry like that and stick to those surfaces. Then you can give the fish that real grazing experience that they'd find in the wild. The other thing about Repashy is it doesn't really dissolve or go bad in the tank very quickly, which means that if you leave it in there all day and even overnight, it's gonna be fine. For the most part, it's probably gonna be gone very quickly, so you're not gonna need to worry about that. Anyway, Ancistrus are vegetarian for the most part. That's what sets them apart from the Hypancistrus, and bye-bye algae. Ancistrus do great in planted tanks. They won't eat the plants, and they enjoy the lower temperatures that plants tend to do well in. A good range for Ancistrus is anywhere between about 70 to 78 degrees. They can tolerate warmer temperatures, but it causes them to grow a lot faster, puts a little bit of stress on them, and also shortens their lifespan. Of course, if you're planning on breeding or growing your fry quickly, then probably 78 works for you. Otherwise, I'd try to dial it down to somewhere between 74 and 76 degrees. Males can be a bit shy, so make sure they have somewhere to hide out. Rocks, caves, underneath some driftwood, anything like that is fine. Ancistrus can be pretty active during the day, so you will see them swimming around the tank while the lights are on. Now, the thing about vegetarians is the massive amount of poop that they produce. Think Natalie Portman in the Star Wars prequels. Whatever algae that they take in, they put back 5 times over in poop. So this completely negates the myth that Ancistrus are going to clean your tank. They won't. They will remove the algae, but you've got to remove the poop or it will tend to build up. Also, consider the fresh veggie diets that you tend to feed them. Those things, if left uneaten, can really foul the tank water up pretty quickly. And you need to be on top of that and make sure you remove it. So that covers the Ancistrus. Let's take a look now at Hypancistrus and see what these guys are all about. If you're enjoying my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm new to this, as you can tell, and subscriptions give me motivation to keep going. Besides, somebody's got to pay for all the frozen bloodworms. If Ancistrus are the darlings of the aquarium world and friends to the masses because of their hard work ethic, then the Hypancistrus are the idle rich. While they have the same features that make them recognizable as a pleco, they do have one thing that the Ancistrus don't have, and that is their incredible variety of colors and patterns. For most of the fish keeping hobby, plecos were going about their business, eating their veggies and pooping up a storm relatively unnoticed. Then came the biggest event to shape the hobby since the introduction of freeze-dried tubifex worms. Then came 1991. Forget the fall of the Soviet Union, the first Gulf War, the introduction of the World Wide Web. Think bigger than that. Think the introduction of the zebra pleco, Hypancistrus zebra, when it first became widely available in the aquarium hobby in 1991. The sensation that this fish caused was tank busting. Its bright, starkly contrasting black and white stripes were amazing, and nothing that had ever been seen on a pleco before. Sorry, old man Hypostomus. People tripped over themselves to get this fish. Prices were adjusted for inflation somewhere around $225 to $250 a fish, and most of the time fish stores could only get 1 or 2, if any at all. These guys were hard to find. Just about all of them were imported from the Rio Xingu in Brazil. Incredibly rare, they're found only in a small section of the river called the Volta Grande, or Big Bend, in waters up to 45 feet deep. The landscape here is large, broken boulders with very fast currents, making them extremely hard to catch. Collectors smelled money and descended on the Xingu like locusts, driving numbers way down. Because of the zebra pleco, this area of the river started to become more highly explored, and many new species of Hypancistrus were discovered and imported into the hobby. As time went on, we learned more about what they needed to survive, how they ate, and what kind of habitat conditions they needed in order to breed. Because of this, and because of the aquarists like you who put in the work to keep them, breed them, and keep them healthy, Hypancistrus today are a very healthy captive bred population. You can't say the same for the wild state, but at least in captivity, these Hypancistrus are thriving. A pleco is a pleco is a pleco. They're all the same, right? Wrong. Now we come to the biggest difference between Hypancistrus and Ancistrus. The Hypancistrus are definitely not algae eaters. They don't use their sucker mouths to scrape algae from the sides of your glass or from the leaves of your plants. They're using them to hold on to the rocks and boulders and avoid being swept away by the very fast currents in the Rio Xingu where they come from. These guys are carnivores. They're looking for meat.
Where's the beef?
So we want to feed them things like bloodworms, brine shrimp, blackworms. Frozen or live are great options on any of those foods. In terms of prepared foods, you want to make sure that you're feeding them something that's at least 40% or higher in protein count. That rules out veggie tablets. They will eat them, but they're going to slowly waste away on those. They need meat. So some of the things that are great for them, you can go with freeze-dried krill if you like. If you can weigh it down enough, that's great. Otherwise, they'll even take it from the surface from time to time, especially at night. Pellets like catfish pellets that are high in shrimp or fish meal are very good for them. Bug bites are great. They really like bug bites a lot. And I think it's because in the wild, they probably do eat a lot of insect larvae. I've even tried feeding them frozen shrimp. You need to weigh them down so that they're not floating around in the tank. It does take a while for them to get used to this and figure out what it is. And you want to make sure that it doesn't have a shell on it so that it's soft and easy for the plecos to scrape. In terms of rapashi, I go with the insectivore formula. This one is very, very high protein and it's made mostly of insects. It also comes out from cooking with boiling water in this spongy material, just like the vegetable one does. It also doesn't go bad very quickly, so you can leave it in the tank overnight. And you can also spread it onto a rock or a branch of driftwood and let it set, and then put it in the tank and let the plecos graze off of it. I think they get a kick out of that. So remember, meaty foods only. Don't expect any algae grazing in your tank from these guys. Not gonna happen. When it comes to tank conditions for Hypancistrus, I only have 4 words for you. Turn up the heat. These fish like it hot. Most Hypancistrus are gonna be happy with a temperature between 82 to 86 degrees. Higher if you're trying to breed them or grow out fry. If you have a community of warm water loving fish, then 80 to 82 is just fine. Think of them again just like discus. If the temperature drops into the 70s, they're not going to be very happy for very long. They'll usually stop eating and become lethargic, and they can start wasting away. So make sure you keep it hot. When it comes to hardscape, you're going to want to make sure that you have plenty of caves and hiding places for these fish. They're mostly nocturnal and you're not going to see them a whole lot during the day. Hypancistrus don't get along very well if they don't have enough territories to claim as their own, and they can fight pretty viciously. Males especially will battle it out over caves and areas that they can hold as their own. So whether you have large rocks, driftwood, maybe a princess castle if you have questionable taste and decor, the fish don't care. As long as they have somewhere to claim and call their own, they'll leave each other alone and they won't fight. As far as plants are concerned, there are no plants in their natural habitat in the Rio Xingu, so the Hypancistrus don't really care if you have them or not. If you do put some in, that's great. The fish aren't going to bother them, and they'll help reduce nitrate and keep up the oxygen levels. Remember, these fish want highly oxygenated, quick-flowing, warm water. Do that, and they will be happy for life. Let's talk water chemistry. I've kept Hypancistrus in our hard Arizona tap water, which has a pH of around 8.5 and a TDS of somewhere around 500. I've even had them breed in those conditions, but a lot of Hypancistrus are more picky and they won't tolerate something like that. So try to keep your pH in the low 7s if possible, with your TDS anywhere between about 75 to 125. That's kind of the sweet spot for these fish. If there's anything you take from the water chemistry part of this video, it's that these fish will absolutely not tolerate ammonia or nitrite and have a very low tolerance for nitrate. In the wild, the fast-moving water in the Rio Xingu makes sure that the levels of all 3 of those chemicals are always at or very close to 0. You need to replicate the same type of conditions in your aquarium. Now, there's apparently some type of fish guru out there in YouTube land who's currently telling people that you don't need to do water changes, they're unnecessary and they serve no purpose. I don't go for any of that. If you're going to keep Hypancistrus, you need to do water changes. If you don't want to do water changes, then don't keep them. I don't care what kind of a guru you are, that is the worst advice I've ever heard. Yeah, I went there, but hey, I'm the new guy, so I can do whatever I want. Now that you know the difference and you're an expert in Hypancistrus and Ancistrus plecos, how do you keep all this info straight? I mean, they're your kids, right? No, literally, they're your kids. Ancistrus are your elementary school kids. They're young, they're bustling around, they're always on the move, they'll help you out with chores and try almost any food that you put in front of them. As far as the Hypancistrus go, they're your moody teenagers. They rarely come out of their caves during the day and you only see them at night. They'll never help you out with any chores or cleaning, even if you ask them to. And as far as food is concerned, if it's not a meaty hamburger, they're not even gonna go near it. See? Just like your kids. Well, that about wraps up another episode of What the Fish. I hope you learned something about these two groups of plecos. And if you're thinking of adding some to your tank, now you know. Hey Bobby, are you still filming? Well, yes, but I'm right in the middle of my wrap up, so just give me a minute. Oh, are you about to do the what the fish thing where you scrunch your face? You really shouldn't do that. Promotes crow's feet. Yes, but I don't look like that. What do you want? I have some info on the Rio Xingu. Well, I already talked about that. I know, but mine's better. Fine, just make it quick. Thanks, Bobby. If you'd like more info on the Rio Xingu, there are a lot of great resources out there. Below Water is a great one. It's a channel that documents underwater life in the Amazon and has so many amazing videos of our tropical fish swimming around in their natural habitats. It's really fun to watch. They also talk a lot about what's happening to the Rio Xingu habitats since the dam became operational. Check it out. It's worth a look, and so is saving the species that we like to bring into our homes. See, that wasn't that bad, was it? Hey, that wasn't too bad. We should probably mention that we don't have any connection to Below Water. We just think it's a really cool site. Anyway, now that you know the difference between Ancistrus and Hypancistrus, you can make good choices when buying plecos. Otherwise, you're just gonna get them home and say, "What the fish?" Really? Cut.